Okay, welcome back to Knocking to 10. I'm your host, Johnny Loretto, founder of Knock 2. Today I'm joined by Stephen Hakami, the founder and CEO of Wiza. Stephen, thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Tell me a little bit about your background, your origin story. How did you ultimately get into the world of data?
Yeah, kind of a weird story. Found myself stumbling into data accidentally. So I started my career in sales. I was working at a conference company in Toronto.
So like events,
Events, yeah. So mainly selling like tickets to these
consumer events, B2B?
B2B.
Okay.
So yeah, marketing, sales, and like leadership and leadership for women conferences.
Okay.
And so we'd sell like tickets or packages to different companies there. And what was kind of unique about that selling methodology was two things. One, there was a time limit. So if the event was in 3 months,
Yep.
like you have to get an answer from someone pretty quick.
Yep.
And they need their lead time. So it's really like you have the first 4 weeks to sell to them. So it was important to have volume and speed. And the other thing was the locations were constantly changing. So who you were reaching out to
Yep.
could, all of a sudden we do an event in Chicago and, we don't have anyone in our CRM there.
Yep.
And so you have to very quickly be able to prospect. And I found that the tools out there weren't built for that kind of speed for what I needed. So initially I just wanted a way to export like a LinkedIn Sales Navigator search.
Yep.
That's where I found the best data was. These prospecting tools had outdated info. And then kind of built this like very simple LinkedIn sales nav scraper, layered it on with just like an API call to an email finder.
Yep.
And then an email verifier tool, and then packaged that up as a spreadsheet, and you just paid 15 cents for each email that we found.
Cool. Okay, so you
Yeah.
built this initially like in-house as a tool to use to be better at your job.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of quickly realized like, okay, maybe other people will see value in this.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I'd launched so many different projects, and with all the other ones, I was like, oh, this is the one. But with Wiza, I was a bit more cautious and like, I don't know, this might be just something that I need. I don't know if anyone else needs it. And turned out that was the one that had a lot more legs early on. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so your first job at a school, sales job, you've got tight timelines, constantly changing prospects. You need accurate phone numbers. You're using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You need a better way to essentially get phone numbers, get data from that. You built your own plugin essentially to make this happen into a spreadsheet. So were you using it yourself for like a period of time before you actually realized like, shit, other people could use this too?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the initial plan was use it myself, and see if there was value. I think as it started being built, I was like, okay, other people could definitely use this.
Yeah.
So first step when we launched was I did like a product hunt
Okay.
launch, which I had done before.
Okay, so you knew that you wanted to like put this out into the world.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, cool.
By the time we had it built,
Did you build this yourself? Or are you an engineer?
no.
Can you tell us that story? Like, how did you build it?
Yeah. So I had worked on a previous software company that I called Torch.
Okay.
And also in the sales tech space, especially what it would do is scan your email to find people that you've sent emails to, but you haven't followed up with yet.
Okay. Looking in your inbox?
Yeah, looking in your sent, and then you would say like, okay, I usually follow up within 2 weeks. So if 2 weeks came, they would enter this folder called like needs follow up.
Love that. Wow. Those are simple, powerful.
Yeah, it was actually pretty useful.
Does
but
that still exist?
It doesn't. It's funny. Gmail kind of does it now. Like it'll show you sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
remind you 5 days.
Yeah.
5 days. Yeah.
But it was definitely built for sales tools. I think one like headwind there was it was around the time that these like automated sequences started to take off. So
okay, so this is 2016-ish, maybe a little earlier, a little later.
Maybe a little later.
Okay.
Like yeah, they were just starting to.
Okay, so like outreach sales officers starting to like get some traction.
Yeah, exactly. So the follow-up problem is not as big when it's all automated, whereas before it really was. And I just had no idea what I was doing at the time. So those two things didn't help. But so that developer that I'd worked with on that project was super talented. And he built the V1 of Wiza.
Okay, cool. Put it out on Product Hunt. What happened?
So right away we got some traction, like nothing crazy, but I felt a distinct difference between like past things I had launched and this one, where it felt like, okay, this is actually hitting,
Yeah.
like striking a nerve for people.
Yeah.
And so I don't, it wasn't a lot of money, but it felt like a lot of money at the time. So we
Okay.
charged 15 cents per email.
Yep.
And I've got screenshots in my phone of us doing like $60, $70.
Hell yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, this is insane.
You
Right?
did
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it was truly from people downloading, using the tool, you actually seeing like money showing up in the bank account, feeling like, okay, we've got some real momentum here.
Yeah.
When you launched it, what did you call it?
It was called Wiza from day one.
So what's the inspiration behind Wiza? Tell us about the name.
So I was just trying to come up with a clever name. I wanted to call it Wizard.
Okay.
I initially was like, hey, you know, we can call this Wizard. The domain, I think usewizard.com was available.
Okay.
And I sent it to that developer and he was like, yeah, but if people Google Wizard, they're never going to find us. Like,
Yep.
we're never going to rank. So maybe just make something up. So I was just like, Wiza sounds like a name. And Wiza.co was available. And I was like, that's close enough. So
I love that. You know, when I was trying to figure out the name for Knock 2, in a similar sense, I was looking about a sales term that did not have a lot of existing like SEO out there for it. Didn't want to be like website visitors, didn't want to be anything that was like a cliche. So went ahead, purchased the domain, like went about it. And then about like 6 months in, I was in my office. I was working out of a co-working at a venture studio. And like one of the like Gen Z like founders came up to me and he's like, you know that there's a DJ called Knock 2?
Oh, right.
He was like, was that your inspiration? And like, little did I know, I'd never been searching like just Knock 2 outside of it. And it is the #1 search result is this DJ.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So like anytime people search it now, like, you know, if they're not specifically searching for a sales tool, it sends them to like some real serious headbanging music. Anyhow, so that was my fuck up. But
we actually have there's a DJ named Wiza that
okay,
he's not very big.
Have you brought him to one of your?
No, that's what we were
parties?
thinking.
So that's like one of my check boxes. A lot of people have like a founder's list of things they want to do. Like,
yeah.
We're gonna, at some point we're gonna cross this threshold, like before year 2, where we're gonna bring Knock 2.
Oh, I love that.
Party with him.
That's great.
I should reach out to him. Funny enough, on LinkedIn, it shows that his touring agent is one of our employees because he accidentally.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So his tour manager is considered one of our employees on LinkedIn. But
extra head
anyhow,
count.
okay, a bit of an aside. But it's okay. So you picked Wiza, but tell me the truth. Was it Wiza.ai from the start? You said Wiza.co. When did you pick the AI domain?
So we have no. So it was Wiza.co. It's funny. I have the initial email thread.
Yeah.
And we just did a sales kickoff event with our team, and I did a session on like just the history of Wiza. So I dug up those emails and put it in, and I in the email thread I was like, should it be Wiza.co or Wiza.ai?
Yeah.
And the developer didn't like answer. He didn't have an opinion on it, and I guess I ended up going with Co because it was closer to com. But then shortly after we bought .ai, .cc, like just to protect ourselves and have the domains. Yeah. And then we bought the .com maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, very nice.
And I was reaching out like every maybe quarter to try to get a response. They never answered. And then I came across like a domain broker or whatever. And I was like, all right, take a shot at it. Like, and then a week later she was like, yeah, like
you got it.
They'll do it. So
wow. Okay. And you have obviously got to support the country of Anguilla and get the .ai.
Yeah.
Updates. Yeah. I get it. Got to give back at least 1%. Okay. Cool. All right. So mascot is a wizard. For those who are living under a rock, kind of explain to the audience, give the pitch. What exactly does Wiza do today? Like, what's the mission?
Yeah. So we've adapted a lot. We started as that initial kind of sales nav scraping email finding tool. And what we kind of found from our launch and our initial customers was that people liked using Wiza because the data, they trusted the data that was on LinkedIn. It was up to date. They didn't trust what was in like ZoomInfo or Apollo, these other legacy platforms. And we also realized our success, especially at the time we only charged for valid emails, was how many valid emails and eventually phone numbers can we find? So we became very focused. Like we're about 6.5 years old now. Yeah. Our first 4 years, the product basically didn't change much. We never had like our own prospecting platform. was just this use case of LinkedIn to contact details. And so it allowed us,
There's always like a plugin essentially, like a
yeah,
Chrome browser
pretty much
extension
always a
or
Chrome
something?
plugin.
Okay.
We had a dashboard where you would essentially just download
Yeah.
a spreadsheet. But it allowed us to stay really focused on just like make that number go up. And in this case, that number was like valid emails and phone numbers.
Cool.
And so we were very data focused. And once we reached a point where people were actually using us as their data tool instead of like a Zoom Info or one of these other tools, we realized, okay, there's a big opportunity here to build everything else adjacent to it. And so we're in that phase now. So about 2 years ago, we rolled out Wiza Prospect, which is our own prospecting tool. Super accurate, tons of contacts. We have like 800 million globally, 200 million in the US, versus like a Zoom Info has 70 million in the US. And so really, really strong coverage, many valid emails, many valid phone numbers. And so that's what we've stayed focused on. But so, yeah, we're now basically building all around that. But essentially the tool is, similar to these other tools, helps you find contacts that you want to reach out to and find their contact information. And we're just continually building on that to make it easier, and find people with the highest, intent to actually sell to.
Yeah. Well, I'm a personal user. I love the tool. I find it to be incredibly simple and to the point. It allows me to like get my job done, my team's job done, incredibly efficiently.
Thanks.
But if you will, can you peel back the curtain just a little bit? What actually makes the data better compared to like the Zoom Infos, the Apollos of the world? And like what gives people confidence when they're using the data that like it is validated and these phone numbers and emails will work?
Yeah. So the biggest difference, we like to describe Wiza to people as Wiza is not a contact database like these other tools. We are a software that finds contact data.
Okay.
And so what that means is that if you go inside Wiza and you search someone up, you'll notice if you go to find their email or their phone number, as you've probably seen, sometimes there's a delay. We're actually sourcing that data in real time.
Okay.
So we don't maintain this massive database of like hundreds of millions of emails and phone numbers. We do those same steps, but source it in real time and verify it in real time. And that lets us, there's a delay trade-off, but it lets us have higher accuracy. It also lets us take more steps, more stabs to try to figure out what the right email is. So for example, if someone works at Amazon and the email format is typically, first name dot last name at amazon.com, we put that through an SMTP verification. That turns out to be invalid. We can now say, okay, well, what's the second most common format and go through our database that way. Or, we can see, previously we've given you a correct email here. Now, all of a sudden that's invalid where it was valid a week ago. Maybe they changed jobs. We can do a quick check and update those details.
So instead of just like scraping and like storing and, all sorts of clever tricks to build up a database, you're just logically taking like, what would be the best approach based on a company, a firm, a stage, validating, testing, assessing, and like getting to the result that ultimately is valid.
Exactly.
Before you deliver it.
Yeah. So we call it like real-time email.
I've seen it myself. I've uploaded contacts. It's had like a company they used to work for. Then I click the real button, and then actually their company not only is updated, but then it will get the correct email.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen it myself many times. Okay, cool. What about from the phone numbers perspective? Like, how do you give people confidence that like you're pulling mobile phone numbers?
Yeah, phone numbers are a lot more difficult.
And by the way, is this a US specific or is it global?
It's global.
Okay.
Yeah. So with phone numbers specifically, you have to take a much more geographically scoped approach. And so there are a number of vendors that you can go through, but they're only strong in certain areas. And so we try to assess where we're currently weak and find vendors there. One area we've done well is that, we initially had emails only. Around the time of COVID, everyone started really caring about mobile numbers because the office numbers became essentially useless. And so we got a lot of people coming to us requesting phone numbers, which we didn't have at the time, but we had the understanding that like, okay, people only care about mobile numbers.
Yep.
So we built all our data sourcing off, mobile numbers only, no office numbers. So that's created a strong experience. In terms of like keeping accuracy, you can't verify a phone number like you can an email the same. There are certain things you can do. You can see the name on the plan, but that's not always.
The same.
People have family plans.
Yeah.
People share
I think
plans.
my name on my phone, like if you called me, I think it would still say my father's name. It got passed down
Right.
for like 20 years ago, and I think the caller ID will still say his name on it.
Yeah. So there's, you can't
30 years ago.
fully trust that. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's tougher.
Yep.
What we found is like the best thing to do is just actually cold call these numbers, and so we call them about Wiza, and we can vet a a certain provider.
Cool. So okay, so you've broken down clear product differentiation. Makes a lot of sense. I understand why you're beating a lot of the incumbents. Talk to me a little bit about kind of like go-to-market differentiation. Obviously, like you're coming up in a space where there's lots of mature incumbents, well-capitalized, deep entrenched kind of go-to-market relationships. Like, how do you think about your differentiation? Like, ultimately, why is like Wiza winning business, and like, why is everybody talking about the brand?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any one silver bullet. I think one thing we did really well is early on invested really heavily in the product. So we scaled, we had tens of thousands of, probably hundreds of thousands of users when we had like 5 employees.
Okay.
And we didn't have a lot of like a sales and marketing, funnel. And so we really focused in on the product. And so I think that has made things easier as we did invest heavier in sales and marketing. In terms of like what's worked well for us, I think we have a good brand. We've always been like fun and playful and kind of stand out.
Yeah.
And so we've definitely leaned into that in our marketing in general. On the sales side, I think we waited until we were at a certain point of, we're very confident that the sales team can scale from here before building that sales team. So the sales team is about like a year and a half old, really. And so, yeah, I think just being a bootstrap company, we've taken things slow and waited until we were really confident before investing heavily in any area.
Yeah.
And we've been just really focused on ROI. We don't spend a lot in areas where we don't think we'll get a return.
Yeah.
And so that lets us invest the most possible into what does work. But yeah, in terms of like competitors, I think we're in a space that it's a bit of a double-edged sword. People are always willing to try something new. It's very easy. Like if I tell you, let's say you use Notion and I say, we have a better Notion, it has more, whatever, more filters or whatever. You're like, oh, whatever. All my stuff's in Notion.
Yeah.
But with a contact data sourcing tool, you don't have that same stickiness to it. And so you're kind of always willing to try something new.
Yeah.
So it's helped us kind of like pop up in the market.
Yep.
It's also a curse because, any other one of our customers is always willing to try other tools. And so what we do on our sales process is like just do a data test. That's where we shine. So we say take 500 people, test it with ZoomInfo or test it with whatever you have now, and test it with Wiza. And so it's a very logical sale often, and that helps us.
Hell yeah. We do the same thing. We let people test things out for a week and just like let the results speak for themselves.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, particularly data, I found that like customers can be very skeptical, particularly of like a new company, that may not have as like pretty of a website or as like, large of a team, and thinking, oh, how can you actually deliver a better experience? And so, in the world of data, being able to let people like actually try it on for size, seems to go a long way to winning hearts and minds. Okay. So you're the business, like I actually prefer the term self-funded. I don't really care fuck about the term bootstrap, because like I would consider you a self-funded business. Is that the plan for the immediate future?
Yeah, we want to at least double every year.
Yeah.
And so, we're always open to options. We've obviously spoken to a lot of investors in the past. And so, we want to reach that right time where we feel like that capital can be invested and take us from 2x to 4x.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do feel in a lot of ways that we are close to that. So we might make that change at some point. But it would have to be very strategic, and we're definitely set up in a way that we feel we can continue to scale without any external capital.
Yeah. So, well, before we kind of get into what that go-to-market team looks like and all that, I know you guys have grown a lot of your brand recognition through some strategic partnerships. And in particular, there's one that I know has really helped you grow, I guess, massively, maybe in these last few years, and that's your Clay partnership. Can you talk to me a little bit about kind of like your ecosystem strategy, pros and cons of that, and kind of what the sort of intentions behind that partnership were, and kind of how that plays out today for you?
Yeah. So we have an API product, and so people essentially, buy access to that API to add contact data into either their internal processes, or like internal data finding needs or connecting with other tools, or they're building some kind of product, like in the example of Clay.
Yep.
And so our VP of marketing was pretty early on very bullish.
Michael?
Mike, yeah.
Mike. Okay.
He,
Yeah. I actually met him at a Clay event.
Oh, really?
He showed up and he was wearing a hat that looked like a Master's hat, but it said Montauk on it.
Yeah.
You are the one guy that does not look like everyone else in this room. I was like, let's hang out.
He's actually heading to a conference right now dressed as Willy Wonka. So
beautiful. Anyhow, okay, so he was bullish on.
Yeah, he was.
This is what, a few years ago? When
yeah, this was actually soon after he started. So maybe
Okay.
2.5 years ago. So he was initially very bullish on Clay.
Wow, a marketing guy that gets his hands dirty in partnerships and revenue.
Yeah,
Love that.
Yeah, no, it's great. And he was messaging us about it, and I was kind of.
But before he was an employee.
No.
Okay.
Just as he started,
Okay.
like he was like, we should reach out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was very bullish on us being like entrenched with Clay.
Yep.
And so I was like, yeah, if you can, if you want to reach out to them, like see, and he managed that entire relationship, and so they're obviously, very heavy like users. People are building huge Clay tables. They did a data test where we ranked super favorably. They gave us most accurate enterprise email provider amongst everyone they tested, and top 3 for phone numbers.
Love that.
So yeah, it's been a great relationship with them. They've obviously scaled like crazy.
Yep.
Even from when we started with them, they were already huge, and they've gotten.
Can you share roughly like, how many record API calls you do with them? Is it millions per month? Is it tens of millions per month? It's 100 million.
I actually don't know the number. I'm not sure the number, but it's at least millions per month.
Cool.
Likely more.
Yeah. How do you think about playing in that ecosystem? So like it can be a great way for distribution. Do you at any point worry that the vendor of which you are part of their ecosystem kind of ultimately consumes the partners in their ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, we've been approached by certain competitors that we've chosen not to sell to.
Yeah.
But that's definitely more rare. We sell our API to other customers like Instantly and Nooks and a lot of other tools where they're offering some level of contact data. And so,
well, maybe more specifically, even the Clay one intentionally. Like, do you ever? You're obviously there with many other similar type of data pieces. Any thoughts like long-term strategically about like how that relationship evolves? If they're building a sequencing product, they're building other products. Do you any, just curious how you guys do that?
My focus day to day is how do we take our sales team? That's what I feel like is the most scalable part of the business. And continually move that part of the business up market. And in that area, we're not directly
Okay.
competitive with Clay. I think Clay is selling to these companies, but it's a very different use case.
Yep. I would
You know,
agree.
RevOps focused.
Yeah.
It's
First,
obviously very
outbound sales.
complicated to use too.
Yeah.
And I think they've described it themselves as like you like learning an instrument.
Yeah.
Whereas we are selling to sales reps that
Okay.
don't want to spend a bunch of time to
Yep.
learn a tool. So I think it's a different enough use case that yeah, I don't feel it's competitive. It doesn't come up in our sales process as like, oh, we're looking at you or Clay. It's like if they mention Clay, we're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
You know, we're actually a part of Clay. This works well together. So yeah,
So
I
there's
view it as
the big
complementary.
API side of the business, enabling platforms and partners. And I've had a chat with KJ about that. He probably owes me a phone call. He should use Wiza to get my cell phone again. He's more of an email guy, but then you've got the sales team. And so I've met a number of your sales team. Seems like you've built a great group of folks in New York. One guy in particular, Jake, I used to live in his neighborhood. I'd see him on the street pretty much like every week, always huge smile on his face, shows up at like every New York City event. I know you've sponsored a number of sales tech events in New York. Talk to me about kind of this mix between PLG and sales led, because you started as PLG, like
Yeah.
like sales led companies do not usually go on product hunt. Now you're building like an outbound sales team. Obviously, you're a tool that equips outbound sales teams. Talk to me about kind of that split between PLG and sales led. It can be very challenging to balance both motions. You also have a partner motion. You're only like, 5-6 years old. You got 3 distinct channels, which is awesome. But how do you kind of balance your PLG versus sales led? Does one feed the other? Talk us through kind of the design thinking, and maybe kind of some advice you might give other companies that are thinking through this as well from your experience.
Yeah. So it's definitely been difficult. I think you need the right approach based on the type of business you have and your metrics and what sort of contract values can you expect from a sales type customer versus a PLG customer. And so it's going to depend a lot, I think, like what the right approach is and also how competitive a space is. I think when you're in a very competitive space, it's very tough to come out of the gate with a sales-led motion.
Okay.
If when we first started, we were selling that version of Wiza to enterprises, like they would have laughed in our face or just not answered the email most likely.
Yep.
So we were, when you're bootstrapped, I almost feel like in a lot of ways, you almost have to go the route we went, which is we started PLG, or at least this is the way I know it, or would do it again.
Yep.
Start PLG and build some kind of cash flow generating business from that, and use those cash flows to fund building a product that can actually compete with the rest of the market until you're at a point where you can build a sales team on top of it, which took a lot longer than we thought. We tried and failed. We were just too early.
Sure.
You can't just be a Chrome extension and expect to sell like 50K deals.
Well, I don't know. Simple is there's something magical about simplicity, but I hear you. Well, but sometimes it's perception,
perception matters.
I know you began your career with some ambitions to build restaurant technology, and like that's where I like cut my teeth after banking was in tech, and like the company we did partner ecosystem, and that's why I was asking all these questions. Like the first company that I was the first employee at, we ran a very intentional tight channel motion with Toast and Square.
Yeah.
At the time, most buyers of those companies looked at them and said, that's an iPad, that's an Android tablet. Those are never going to hold up in my, massive restaurant that does crazy turnover, that does, a chain or whatever. They're like, that's a child's toy. Like, that's cute. That's something my like daughter uses to play games on.
Yeah.
And then over time, that kind of like war of attrition, eventually they're like, shit, actually that Android tablet can do, I run my whole fucking business 10 times better than this clunky cash register.
Right.
But I hear you, but it sounds like, but you have to get out in the market at some point. It sounds like you've been, you were pushing from the beginning, and people need to know that brand. So then when they hear from you, when they're the account executive, then they're the buyer at the next company, they had a positive experience, then they're in a position to buy. Right. And so everything is compounding. I imagine your efforts in the beginning were certainly not lost. I wonder if you've looked at the data. I'm sure there are many PLG customers who have since become sales purchasing customers, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, we meet people all the time where they're like, I used you guys 6 years ago. Look me up, and
Yeah.
we can follow a track
Yep.
when we search their name of like they were at this company, they were at this company, they spent this much.
Yeah. I
And
mean, that's got to be one of the most, talk about like when you look at cohorts of customers or retention, seeing somebody be retention through multiple
yeah,
companies, that's got to be like one of the strongest data points you could have on like customer satisfaction or like a CSAT scan. Like that's not even a metric that people can,
yeah,
but
it's tough to track.
luckily can't.
It's
How many people use us through multiple, companies. But anyhow, okay, so you've now transitioned this sales led. So talk to me about kind of your sales team. Like what is your motion? It sounds like you've got outbound sellers. Can you talk to a little bit of the dynamics of that and what's working for you guys?
Yeah. So, I mean, we still have that PLG motion, but the PLG side of the business is just, it's higher churn, it's lower contract values. And so, more of our efforts are focused on the sales side.
Yeah.
So yeah, the PLG brings in tons of users every month.
Yeah.
Tons of,
Do you guys hunt from that or
yeah.
Or the term for us? Do you leverage that to say, okay, wow, somebody just came in from a 500 person company. This is their sales leader. Let's get this over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if we do enough of it today, but that's the goal.
Okay.
It's sometimes tough to sift through because there's a lot of crappy signups too. And so, yeah, but so we get, a large number of signups. There are inbound demo requests, and then we have a newer SDR team as well.
Nice.
And yeah, we built this sales motion around that. That's working super well, and we feel like can scale up pretty aggressively. So the sales team is maybe like 10 people today, maybe 12, 10 to 12
across the US and Canada right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you still have an office in Toronto, or is everybody, the main HQ now is here in New York?
We just today have a WeWork space back in Toronto. We used to, and then when me and our COO moved here, we got rid of it, and then people wanted it back, so we have it back now.
Okay, cool. All right, so bit of a founder journey here. So you obviously launched this company in Canada. You grew up in Toronto, right? Why did you move to New York? Why did you open the office in New York? What were kind of the motivations behind that?
Yeah, so from day one, Wiza was incorporated as a US C Corp.
Okay.
There's a lot of reasons. I think one of the main one was like, maybe we'll want to raise funding. I kind of thought I'll go to SF, to, take the traditional path. Like it didn't wind up being that, but that was kind of what's expected. And I thought, doesn't really matter if I do US or Canada. I'm sure investors are probably more familiar with US, so let's just do that. And so there's also just a lot of like tax incentives being an American company versus a Canadian company. And so, yeah, that was the goal. Kind of, always thought I would move somewhere in the US. I didn't know where exactly. I spent a few months in Miami, a few months in LA, a few months in New York.
Okay.
And yeah, just every different corner.
Okay.
And yeah, New York to me just felt the most, it feels like a bigger Toronto.
Yep.
And so yeah, just felt very familiar, and I just generally really liked the energy of the city. And our COO, who was also going to be moving at the same time, had lived here previously. He was in banking and private equity as well. So, yeah. So anyway, so moved here in February.
Yeah.
Opened the office here, and yeah, we still have a bit of a split presence. Most of the team's actually still remote, but yeah.
Okay. And I hear you guys throw great events. Is it true you threw an absolute ripper at the Dream Downtown Tech Week?
We've done that 2 years now in a row. It's a lot of fun.
What is the next big event for Wiza?
The next big public event is we do that event every year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's at the PhD
Tech Week.
Tech Week.
Is that Tech Week is what, in the spring now? Spring? Are they doing it twice a year now?
It was in June, but yeah, maybe it moved. It
Okay.
moved up. I kind of forgot, but it was warm when we were there. So yeah, spring or summer. So yeah, we'll be doing that again. We are hosting an event for LA Tech Week.
Okay.
The Wizettes, which are the female Wiza employees, are hosting an event called Hot Girls Go to Market.
Okay.
And they're
Nice.
doing that. And then, yeah, our team is doing a trip to Punta Cana. No, sorry. What's I forget what it's called.
Okay,
But yeah,
cool.
somewhere in the Caribbean.
Amazing. All right. So last kind of home stretch here. So what's next for Wiza? What's in the pipeline, product wise, market wise? Like what's the kind of a top of mind for you the next 12 months?
Yeah, right now we're really focused on getting our prospecting tool to be as powerful as possible. We have this pyramid of kind of priorities.
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom of that is data, the foundation,
Yeah.
everything we do. Above that is prospecting, which we describe as like helping you get in touch with the right people. So bottom is like making sure the data itself is right.
Mm-hmm.
Then like making it easier for you to find the people you want to reach out to. A layer above that is signaling. So making sure you're reaching out at the right time, starting to think about timing. We launched something called Wiza Monitor earlier this year, which alerts you to your prospects or like key champions job changes instantly. And so adding more signals there.
How are you doing that for job changes? How are you tracking that information?
There's a number of different ways. One is it might get picked up in our network, but we actually we check these profiles very often as part of our data process. And we see those changes and alert to it. And also provide the new contact data if they change companies.
Cool. Okay. All right. So signals are a big piece of the puzzle on the next.
I think right now we're very focused on, how do we help you find the right types of contacts? So we do a lot of user research, and a lot of times people don't have access to certain data and have to kind of guess. So let's say you're looking, let's say restaurants, let's say you're looking at chain restaurants and you only sell to businesses that have at least, 50 locations. You might say like, okay, what's their head count? That's kind of a proxy to how many locations or what's their revenue. And what we're working on right now is adding a lot of ability to customize that so you can actually ask, how many locations they have and filter on that.
Okay. So giving people the ability to filter on what would be non-traditional, like drop down fields or pick lists. Giving them the ability to actually like, this is my ICP, help me find it.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Really fully customize it and sync that data to CRM as well, if that's like an important data point.
Okay. Right on. Steven, where can people find and follow you?
LinkedIn is probably the best place. Yeah. Steven Hakami.
And Wiza.ai, Wiza.co, and now
Wiza.com.
All three work. Cool. Right on. Well, thank you for coming on.
Awesome.
Appreciate the story. That's it for Knocking to 10. To learn more, visit knock2.ai or Wiza.co, com, or AI. Steven, appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thank you for joining us on the Knock2 podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Loretto, founder of Knock2. Knock2 helps you identify your warmest leads visiting your website and automatically qualifies and routes them to where your sales team needs them.